Hey all, we are back with another episode of Can't Stop Snapping, the official podcast of MarvelSnapZone.com. Yes, that is right. We have formed an official partnership with MarvelSnapZone.com. You will be hearing sponsorship, ads, reviews of different features of the website going forward in episodes. I'm very grateful for this partnership and look forward to sharing with you my thoughts about the website and the awesome tools that it has. With that being said, another thing I just wanted to tell you, the listeners, before we jump into today's episode is that, one, starting from now and going forward, all episodes of the podcast will be available on YouTube, on the Marvel Snap Zone YouTube account, in addition to being available in the normal podcast locations, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're currently listening to it. The podcast will continue to be available going forward. And one last thing, I've been a little slower on recording episodes, as I've mentioned recently. I've been finishing my master's program. That finishes this week, so I am on the cusp of having more free time, both for this podcast, more for my family, etc. So very excited about that. I do have a backlog of a couple of episodes to get out this week, so we may see upwards of 3 episodes actually releasing this week, so stay tuned for those. Make sure to follow the podcast wherever you're listening to it so you don't miss any of them. And without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Can't Stop Snapping, the official podcast of the MarvelSnapZone.com. Today we are talking patch notes again. I was just saying to our guest host that I was a little surprised. I was telling myself that it wasn't until next week, but I was wrong. It came a little sooner than I was expecting. But we are once again joined by the great Lootmuncher, who's been with us for the last episodes where we've covered patch notes, and he's here again to break down the buffs, the nerfs, and all of the new things in between. Lootmuncher, thanks for being here again.
Oh yeah, no worries. And it wasn't just the last ones. I've every single patch notes ever since the first one. I've done every patch notes.
You're the patch notes expert. Our resident patch notes expert. So appreciate you being here to break this down. So we will get right into it. There are some interesting things. Again, we'll cover the general stuff first. We usually don't spend a ton of time there. We've talked about this on other episodes. Listeners will know this. It had been announced that Second Dinner was going to be giving everybody Jane Foster the Mighty Thor card after they canceled and removed Nexus events, and they would be returning and refunding all the gold. So that is live with this patch. Don't think we'll go too deep into that just because we've kind of talked about how that is a good move and really impressive by Second Dinner. Very grateful for that. So we'll dive right into the general section here. A couple of small tweaks. I wonder what your thoughts are, Lootmuncher. First, you can now see your opponent's card backs in the matchmaking screen. Second, season pass experience gained from matches now has the same rule as missions, so you can't cheese the season missions like you could match from your daily missions like you could before. So if you retreat on turn 1, 2, or 3, that does not count towards your mission goals unless your opponent snapped. Then it will count. And third, we now allow a player to retreat when an opponent snaps back in the same turn. That is the most interesting to me. What are your thoughts here on these general updates to the game?
Yeah, I think the opponent's card back is cool. Just gets to show off your style a little bit more to your opponent. The season pass experience farming being killed when they already killed it the other week. I thought they were going to do it all at once, but killing the mission farm and then killing season pass farm.
Yeah,
I think it's good.
I assumed it was both, honestly. Yeah.
I thought it was both last week too, or last time too, but it wasn't. So, but glad to see that they actually went ahead and knocked that out. Just play the game, takes the time it takes to unlock stuff, and then you don't have to work it like a job. And then we allow the retreat thing. Now that is very interesting to me too. I think that's a big thing that's different. Like there was definitely games where I'd get snapped and I'm like, okay, I'll snap. I got a better hand, I think, and them being locked in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really changed a lot. I know that I've talked to some people. I was like, oh man, I wonder if they're going to fix this bug or when. And they're like, oh, I think it's like intentional. And then I think this shows that it's not intentional.
Yeah. No, it seems like not the expected result they were going for. So I think it'll be interesting. It's like it's not a card change, right? But I think it can change a little bit of how matches go, right, and how gameplay goes. And so
I think there's definitely a number of games that's going to be affected by this, that they don't get locked where they snap and get locked in and you snap back. Like I bet you that there's numbers that back that up for the cubes, gain and loss.
Yeah. I mean, there's been times where I've wished I could go back and retreat myself. So I'm interested to see how this affects my games, right? Like, I feel like I really can't give too. I think it's interesting, but I'm like, I don't know if I think it's good, bad, middling, whatever, until I try it out more, right? So that'll be interesting.
I think once you play with it and you start getting that feeling of that it's in the back of your head, I can retreat now, as before. Like when you start thinking about it, that's when it's going to be like, oh, this does matter.
Yeah. Well, after the general, we've got a couple other I'd say general things. Art and visual effect updates to Colossus, Collector, Black Widow, Arnim Zola, and Cerebro. I haven't.
Have you played it at all?
No, I haven't played any of these since the patch.
So I don't know about the other cards; they don't stand out to me. But Colossus, their visual effect upgrade is he's the sun now. It's just white, and it's like completely not there. It's just a white block, and it's hilarious. I'm like, this is the upgrade. How many splits you have to do to get this?
Sounds like a little bit of a bug.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully not all of them are just kind of missing in action.
Yeah.
I haven't got a chance to hear any of these either, but we also have some audio updates. Update sound effects for Human Torch, voiceover, and the Collector. And then they added a variety to the in-game announcer Snap voiceover, which I think is interesting. So it's not always the same recording of Snap,
Yeah. A few more takes thrown in there.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a good impersonation for myself, but yeah, interesting. So not as big of a general section as we've seen in the past. And so, I think some interesting changes, nothing too crazy. I think the biggest thing really is the snap, being able to retreat if after you snap, your opponent snaps on the same turn. I think that will be the biggest change to the game going forward. Hey all, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is completely free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. With that being said, let's dive into the bulk, what we like to get into the nitty gritty of and really talk about our thoughts, which is card balance updates. I'm going to be, I said this to you last time, probably almost word for word. I saw some of these coming, others I was kind of surprised for, but obviously I'm not a developer. I don't have the data, but I think after I've read through these, I think the logic makes sense. So we'll see. We'll kind of go through here. So first off, Collector. Collector is a highly played card. He plays with, with kind of Swarm discard. He plays with Apocalypse. He plays with things like Beast, Falcon. There's so many good cards that play into Collector, which I think influences this change. So the old was he was a 2-cost, 0-power card. That read, when a card enters your hand from anywhere except your deck, plus 2 power. The change is he's a 2-cost, 1-power card. So they added 1 power. When a card enters your hand from anywhere except your deck, plus 1 power. It's like it's 2 down to 1, but I think this is a huge nerf to Collector. I'm not saying I think it's bad, but it's definitely a huge power decrease. It's half, right? What are your thoughts on this change?
I think this is a very big change. I know a lot of people thought they were just going to make it ongoing, which I think would have somewhat been a nerf or maybe a buff depending on card interactions and stuff. But yeah, you're basically cutting it in half. And I've actually played against collectors since this. They've sped up the animation quite a bit too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so that's real nice. But yeah, it's just the cutting. You're cutting the attack in half, and I think this card might suffer from like pull 3 power of not everyone had Beast and Falcon and stuff like that to test those decks out. So as we got deeper into pull 3, more people got into pull 3 and pulling those cards. I think that definitely bumped this card up a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. My worry is always, is it too much, right? Is the change too much? I don't necessarily think this one will be, because, I mean, you could still, I mean, with things like all the cards we've talked about, and you throw in Agent 13, you throw in Cable, right? There's so many cards that enable Collector to be buffed, especially if you play him with also like Moon Girl, and if you're able to throw him down on something like Cloning Vats or Sinister London, where he's duplicated on another place on the board, you can still get a lot of power on the board, is what I'm trying to say. I just don't think it'll be as overwhelming as it has been sometimes in the past. So interesting. I'm interested to see if he's left alone after this, I guess. Does that make sense, right? Like,
yeah.
I think I know they make changes to intend them to be long term, but I just wonder if this one is a little too much.
Well, see, I think it would be nice, and I think he could stay the way he was if there was a hate card for him. There's not really an easy way to destroy a 2-drop. There's not a way to silence it or anything really like.
Yeah.
You need something to do with that. I think they really need
like a remove text from a card here or something.
Well, you make it a new keyword, because right now we have on reveal and ongoing. So make it as trigger. This is trigger. So then it'd be like you can have an enchantress for triggers, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then that opens up design space too. If you can have enablers like a Wong where it like doubles the triggers and stuff. But make it where you can, because I really, when I first started playing this game, I really liked it a lot. How the interaction was, oh, I'm playing, against a lot of this Nova Carnage or whatever. I'll put armor in my deck now. And then like I did this recently. Last patch, I was playing a lot of Shang-Chi in my Death Wave deck. And then this patch, it seems like that Enchantress is just a better fit there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah. You make a really good point. I mean, I think it'll be, yeah. I guess we'll see. I know people have asked the exact same question you're saying, right? Like, are you going to add more kind of keywords? And people have said, how do I play against Collector, right? So this is kind of their answer to that, a nerf, right? But who knows what the future holds as far as opening up other keywords or other kind of archetypes, possibilities, etc. So, up next, we have Colleen Wing, and she kind of is the first of several discard cards that have been reworked. So we'll kind of walk through here. So Colleen Wing was a 3-cost 5-power card, and her ability was to discard the lowest cost card in your hand. She has been changed to a 2-cost 4-power card. So they've kind of restructured the power and cost levels of 3 of the discard cards, and I think it makes sense. So I'm just going to dive in and say the other 2, because I think it'll just be easier to kind of talk about all 3 of them together. Hell Cow was a very strong card. He was a 2-cost 6-power card that discards 2 cards. He's been increased cost to 4 cost, so double the cost to play Hell Cow. And the reasoning behind this, they kind of talk about how there's a lot of decks where obviously discarding 2 cards, even if they're random, is advantageous. So they kind of wanted Colleen Wing to be a lower cost. She kind of matches the cost and power of Lady Sif, but she discards the lowest cost card, and Lady Sif discards the highest cost card. And then the last one that's been reworked is Swordmaster. He's gone from a 4-cost 7-power card to a 3-cost 6-power card, and same ability to discard 1 card in your hand. So I think this makes a lot of sense. Lootmuncher, I don't know if you agree, disagree, but I think kind of restructuring this, right? They couldn't just like increase the cost of Hellcat and leave the other two alone, is my opinion. I think it made sense to rework all three of them.
I agree. I think it was smart to just go ahead and restructure it. You saw that a 2/6, the discarded 2 was just way undercosted. So you want to bring it up, but then you're like, we got to look at the other cards that have very similar effects. So I think restructuring them all now, and if you still need to make tweaks down the line, that's fine. But I just don't think they truly understood before closed beta of like how good discard stuff could kind of be. And I think this was just like, okay, we need to rework the whole idea behind it. And I like that. I like the Colleen Wing change the most because it makes it feel like more like Lady Sif of like, all right, so I got the big stuff with discard or whatever and Ghost Rider, so I'll get my big guy back. But now you kind of have that same option for smaller cards for future designs, or either just Swarm if you're just, playing it into Swarm every time. Like that's 2 free, 3 powers.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great combo there. Yeah, because I mean, I'd see people play Colleen Wing, but not a ton. Definitely the least one I saw played most of the time out of all the discard cards.
And I think that's why this feels more like a buff.
Yes.
Because
correct.
she wasn't seeing as much play. So they were like, well, we'll tend you towards the buff side.
Yes, I think this will enable a lot more play. So I think overall, great change. I think this, there's some, like you say, there's some buffs. I mean, Swordmaster too. I mean, sometimes whenever I was picking cards for like a discard deck, I'd always usually leave out Swordmaster because I was like, well, he's the highest cost and it just doesn't feel as good. I mean, yes, he's the most power. I think this makes him an easier include. So essentially looking at the 3, it's kind of like, yes, they're lower costs and lower power, but really kind of see them as a buff. Hellcat you could obviously see as a nerf with the increased cost, but overall I think it's a good rebalancing of some of the discard archetypes. So positive change overall. Hey all, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk to you about MarvelSnapZone.com. Marvel Snap Zone is a one-stop shop for everything Marvel Snap on the internet. They have new articles nearly every day that cover deck building, strategy, card breakdowns, etc. They have a great collection tracker tool and a deck list builder that works off of that collection tracker so that you can know what decks you can build with your current card collection. They have guides and deck lists for all level of players and all collection level of players. Make sure to go to MarvelSnapZone.com and check it out now. Up next, this is an interesting one. Kingpin. Kingpin, before red, on reveal, next turn, destroy cards that move here. New ability reads, when a card moves here on turn 6, destroy it. The developer comment, I want to read the developer comment on this one. It says, we believe that this update to Kingpin will make his functionality more clear and give players more flexibility in when to play him to capitalize on his payoff. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have Kingpin. I honestly, when I unlocked him, I played with him a little bit. Haven't used him a ton. They say this adds more flexibility, and I guess that's just because, like, if you miss out on him on the first turn or that you play him, people don't move there, or you don't have a card to move cards there. It like you still have a chance to use him, I guess is the logic. I don't know if that's how you're understanding it, but I don't know. This one's a little, out of all the ones so far, this one's the one I didn't see coming the most, and I think it's kind of strange to me.
I think that a lot of people probably complained that this card was a little too confusing the way it was worded, because it is a very unique-ish effect to have on something. So I think that's why they're saying that. We're just saying, hey, it makes it more clear on when you can play it and stuff. Because when Bifrost came out, I ran Kingpin a little bit to see, and it was like, wait, hold on, it goes at the end of the turn, so I need to play it the turn before, but like this, and just like trying to figure it out and being like, this does seem overly complicated.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. You're right. I mean, they say that, right? They're going to make his functionality more clear, so that makes sense. And I mean, it still opens up, like, you throw down Magneto turn 6, right, and pull people into him, or it's a solid counter against a move deck, right? because people are planning to pull out. Of course, now I'm going to forget his name. Heimdall, like on turn 6, right, and move their whole board. This makes them second guess that, right? Or you flip him on turn 6 if you have initiative, and then they're sliding a bunch of cards into him. So in that way, I guess it does. It almost seems like a buff, right? You can kind of leave him on the board as a looming threat, right?
Yeah. I think definitely. So I've actually played with a very small amount. I played one game with it, but I slid it into my arrow deck, my Death Wave arrow, and I was like, this is perfect now. If Kingpin's ever going to be good, it's good right now. So first game, everything perfect, exactly how I wanted it. And I go to Kingpin, and then I arrow to pull everything into it. Going to just blow up their whole turn 6. I'm already winning, so I'll win. And they saw it because they you played Kingpin. They just played into that lane and beat me. And I was like, oh, nope, still bad, because you just see it coming. You just act accordingly. Oh, this is a big red thing. Stay away from that.
Yeah. I mean, playing into the lane doesn't cause a problem. So if they can just plug it up, right? If they're playing a deck where they're going, wide and really flooding the board, right? Some kind of a zoo deck, right? Like they can easily, by the turn you've played it, they can then throw down one or a 2/1 cost and a 2 cost or something, right? And just plug it up. Overall, still not. I don't know. It doesn't feel like the most powerful card to like. It's obviously I mean, you can play it with cards that you force your opponent to move, but also it's like a counter to the move archetype. But still feels like it's not quite there as far as some other counters to other archetypes, right?
Yeah, like, it doesn't fill up to par yet,
right?
Yeah, it doesn't fill up to par yet. I don't think this is the correct fix. And also another thing, like, I mean, maybe they didn't have the design tools for it, or to make it pull it off in game, but the moves here on turn 6, that feels limiting too. Why not say last turn, so it can work with
with magic
TVA,
and TVA too,
so it would work just with all that. So if you're going to change it, make it like that, a little more flexible.
Well, I guess maybe the confusion, I totally hear what you're saying. Like, I guess the confusion is like, what if magic flips on 5 or on 6, but first they're moving something, right? Or you force them to move because you have initiative, but then it's not the last turn anymore. Mm-hmm. It was the last turn. It was going to be the last turn until obviously the location changed, right? Yeah. And now there's a turn 7, but I guess that could be just a little confusing, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult design choice. I think it might be one of the ones they just need to rework. I know they try to find small fixes or changes, but that might just have to be completely reworked.
Yeah, almost if there was like a card like Kingpin, or if Kingpin became it, where it's a lower cost and it destroys one card that's moved there or something. It doesn't have to destroy all, right? But it's like a 1 or 2 cost card or something, right?
Yeah, you just make it a trigger where it's like the first thing that moves gets killed. So
yeah,
you could play around with Nightcrawler, move it before you move something else and stuff like that.
Yeah. So interesting for sure. We talked about Kingpin a lot more than I thought we would, but yeah, definitely some interesting thoughts there. Well, next one, I know you're going to now be a Lizard believer, right? Lizard has been changed from a 2-cost 4 power card to a 2-cost 5 power card. He still has that legit ability where if your opponent has 4 cards there, he gets -3 power. I don't know. Are you playing this now?
I've actually messed around with it a little bit, like 2, 5, and ways to buff them and stuff like that. Like definitely had them before, kind of, it's a fun thing to mess around with. But yeah, I still don't think this is quite the answer. But I mean, I get it. Not every card has to be like legit, like playable competitively. And I think different strategies you can do it. But like Lizard doesn't need to be on that heap. Like there's plenty of the other cards. Some cards just got to be a little more down the power scale. So I think that's just what Lizard is he's cool, especially like a beginner card. You start figuring out like things. I can play this with Spectrum and get plus out of it and stuff like that. So I think it plays its role very good, but it's not like something they're trying to push it to be competitive.
Yeah, good point. I mean, and obviously you could do kind of you throw them down, so your opponent's going to plug up that location, and maybe it's just a distraction, right?
Yeah, like a decoy. Yeah.
It's a decoy, and or you could pull out Electra late in the game and destroy, one of their cards on turn 6. So they think they're going to get the nerf of power on you, but they don't. I mean, there is some things there, right? But I mean, whenever I see Lizard, normally I know it's a bot that I'm playing. So yeah, it's usually one of the variant Lizard arts, and it, anyway, we'll see. Okay, well, got 2 more cards here to talk about. This is one that I'm just looking at the patch notes here in Discord, and a lot of people have reacted to this one. Nakia. We've seen lots of changes to Okoye, right? We've seen 2 different changes to Okoye up to this point, but Nakia has now been changed. So old text was on reveal, give all cards in your hand +2 power. New text reads on reveal, give 2 cards in your hand +2 power. I want to read the developer comment on this. Nakia had the potential to give massive amounts of power that players could reliably play out by using low-cost cards. We are nerfing the number of cards she will buff in order to keep this ability in check. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you think this was... Do you think this is the right answer? Do you think this is sufficient? Do you think this is too much? This is a big change.
It might be a little too much. I do think Nakia was one of the most overplayed cards recently. And so I think something needed to be done, but this might be a little too much. Like, I just don't see, I guess she's definitely going to see less play. Like, I felt like almost every deck, everything that you ran, you'd run Nakia in it for just those stats on all your guys was really good. So I think this hurts it a lot, and I'm not sure how effective they want that to be, but I mean, you're just definitely going to see less play now.
Yeah. It might go too far in the other direction. So they've changed how it works, and you could almost, like, if they needed to buff it up a little bit more, maybe you say give 3 cards in your hand +2 power, right? So I mean, they could tweak it a little further without too much hassle. But 2 is maybe a good place to start. But I think she's gonna really dip off in play, like you say, and that may influence kind of like we've already seen precedents of them being willing to change a card more than once. 2 patches in a row with Okoye, right? In the past, so could see another change here. I think it was just maybe just a titch too much. I think she needed a change, right? I mean, like you said, any kind of Sarah or Zoo deck or Kazar deck where you have a lot of 1-cost or 2-cost cards, and you throw Nakia down on turn 3 or 4 or 5 even. You're getting huge power buff late in the game, right? So I think she needed it, but this maybe is a little bit too much in the nerf direction, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the long term. Up next, Rescue. I think we all expected a change to come to Rescue, but like you've been saying in past episodes and this episode, I think Rescue being a pool 3 card is one of those ones where it's like, well, is it good or bad? We can't really say until we have the data of enough people unlocking Rescue to see, 1, do they play with Rescue? And 2, when they do, like, what are the win rates? What are the cube rates, etc.? So Rescue's old text was 5 cost, 5 power, on reveal if you play a card here next turn, +5 power. The new is it's a 4 cost, 4 power card, same ability, on reveal if you play a card here next turn, +5 power. So obviously they're buffing her through a lower cost to play. So it's like you don't have to take up your whole turn 5 playing her, right? But honestly, I just still feel like, I don't know. I almost feel like, and I'm not a game designer, right? But like, I'm like, well, maybe if it's like a 4/4 and on real, if you play a card here next turn +6 or something, I don't know, right? That would put her in like Typhoid Mary, like cost and power, right? But without obviously the negative side, but you're forced to play a card there, which gives your opponent a read. I don't know. I don't know if I feel like I would still ever really put Rescue in a deck. What about you?
Yeah, no, I've seen her play a little bit. I was watching a streamer play, and with it, and 4/9 still just not good enough for the play and all that. She's a 4/9. If someone says, "Oh, but she's a 4/9 now," well, she's not even the best 4/9. Have you played Warpath?
Yeah.
Like, so I think, yeah, I mean, maybe 3/3. Keep going. I mean, why not? Maybe a 3/8 will make it work.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That I mean, you say that, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds better, right? Like that just feels better just thinking about that. So I still think they need to play around with rescue a little bit more. I don't expect a bunch of people to start using rescue. So, other than the odd, okay, maybe there's a featured location that plays well, right? With on reveals, doubling, right? There's things like that, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, I think rescue will still kind of be on the sideline. So, the hope and dream is that every card is viable in some kind of deck, right?
Yeah, and some deck doesn't have to be the craziest deck or the best deck or anything, but just as long as it kind of functionally works in a deck, and I don't think rescue has one of those.
Yeah. Well, those are the cards. The card changes overall. What's your feeling this time, Lootmuncher? I would say I am. I think there was a couple less than last time, and I think there's some really interesting things here. I'd say, like, if I had to rate myself, my how good I feel about it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, I'd probably put myself around a 7 or 8. I think this is a pretty decent patch.
Yeah, I think I would definitely put it like a 6, just because I do like this patch. I like the collector change. I mean, just because it was played in a lot of decks too. Like, it might be too much, but let's see what it is. Let's see how powerful it still is. And then so collector, and then the rework of the discards and Nakia all kind of fit in my head in the same thing of all stuff that I like. I like to see the discard changes all at once. Let's figure out that new math that you're going to do on the cost of everything for cards like that. And then Nakia just need to be changed, just played in so many decks. And so I like that, but I don't like the buffs. And I think the buffs are one of the things that's been very interesting about them too. We've talked about it before, that it's really cool that they showed that they wanted to buff cards and really see what they could push up, that, seeing lower play and stuff. But these buffs don't really seem too great, other than, like I said, the discard stuff. And then rescue, lizard, kingpin, they just all feel like misses. And so I just would like to see them, if they're gonna continue to try to do this, and maybe they're scared they're gonna mess up too much. But I think that's the beauty of a digital card game, is that you can change things as needed. You don't print something and it's like that forever and really hard to change.
Yeah,
You can just change
reprint.
Yeah. So just test out more buffs, and if you buff something a little bit too much, bring it back down. Like, I'd like to see them experiment a little bit more, because, I'm not happy with these, but if we got 3 or 4 more of other cards that's seeing underplay, then maybe I'd be excited because I get to try 7 new cards. But now it's like 2, 3 cards. Yeah, not.
Gotta go try lizard. Go build a lizard deck.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I feel like there's nothing kind of like we felt really good about Scorpion last patch, right? That changed, right? He lowered cost and power, but like all of a sudden it felt like, whoa, you can like throw Scorpion in a deck, right? And a lot of people saw that, and there was a couple like that last time. So nothing quite that level this time, but I guess that's the nature of having a patch right now every 2 to 3 weeks, right? Not everyone's going to be like, wow, this is completely changes everything. So maybe a little less hype than last time, but definitely some things worth noting here. So just want to cover the other changes mentioned here in the patch notes. Jane Foster has been added to Pool 3. Again, if you had an account during the time of Nexus events, you upon updating your app, you will get her unlocked automatically. She'll just be in your collection. But she's been added to Pool 3 for anybody that starts an account after this patch. Wave has been added to Pool 3. So previously, Wave was only attainable during her season pass. Now anybody can unlock Wave, so that's really cool. So we may even see some more Wave play now that more people will be able to unlock Wave as a card. And then Jane Foster can now appear from effects to add random cards such as Agent 13 or X-Mansion. So they're just kind of keeping with that pattern of, when cards are added or they're in a season pass, they're added to the random effects. So overall, an interesting patch. A little bit less to talk about than last time. But definitely, we obviously wanted to have this conversation. We wanted to cover, give our thoughts. Just as we're closing out here, Lootmuncher, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for always being willing to jump on here and help out with these. I know the listeners love hearing your thoughts on the patch notes. Before we go, I want to give you a second. Again, just tell the listeners where they can follow you. Tell them about QBrush and how they can watch that, how they can participate in that.
Okay, so for myself, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Lootmuncher0. And then, so QBrush is a really cool thing that we've done with a lot of really cool content creators for this game on Twitch, is we pull everyone together, and we just did a tag team one. So we had 4 teams of 2. We did an 8-man. They started off as like 4. So we're just trying things out, seeing what everyone likes to do and what people like to watch. And so we've done those. We do them every Wednesday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. We try to do one every Wednesday, and then we have done a few other ones at different time slots too. But for getting into it, if you're a streamer that wants to be a part of it, you can find me on Discord, or you can reach out to me when I'm streaming, or you can whisper me on Twitch, whatever. Just let me know, and we'll get you into the Discord, so where we make all our announcements when we're looking for players and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, super fun to watch. I finally, last time we talked, I hadn't really been able to catch one yet, but I've been able to catch the last couple, at least parts of them, and it's been definitely fun to watch. And a lot of them have come down to the wire. So if you like watching stuff live that can get intense and great competition, then make sure to check out QBrush on Twitch. With that being said, listeners, just want to say thank you again for listening, and just want to give that call one more time. Make sure to go to marvelsnapzone.com. Check out the website. A lot of cool things going on there. There's articles, videos being posted. Make sure to create an account so you can use the great deck building tools, etc. And one thing I wanted to shout out specifically is that they are doing a content creator program. They're accepting applications and signups for that. If you're wanting to, grow your user base as a content creator, and you're wanting to partner with somebody, Marvel Snap Zone is taking on people to partner with. So make sure to check that out. Make sure to join the Discord, the Marvel Snap Zone Discord, to learn more about that. With all that being said, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you in the next episode. Can't Stop Snapping is a podcast written, recorded, produced, and hosted by Michael Thurman. Thanks for listening.